This is Houston from the Morgan Thomas Show. Just thought I might pop in and do a little bit of a weekly video every week for some different little picks against the spread. You know, everybody loves a good spread. Everybody loves a good little feast every weekend. Every single week of college football is filled with just a cornucopia of just storylines and everything. So that's why I thought I'd come up with a new segment called Setting the Table. This is Setting the Table Week 1. And my goal for this show and this what we do for the show is I'm going to give you 6 picks this week, broken up into 2 appetizers, 2 entrees, and 2 desserts that you can at least think about a little bit. Maybe you want to get some action or something like that going into the week. But we're going to talk a little bit of college football, quick little bite to eat before you go into your weekend. So let's dive in. Everybody loves a good, nice appetizer, cheese curds, cheese sticks, queso. I just like cheese. You can tell, obviously. But our first appetizer, Appalachian State versus UNC. This is one of the most intriguing games of the weekend, okay? Currently, the line stands actually shifted. It's now at App State minus 1.5 going into the weekend. This was a pick'em yesterday. The game is in Boone. Obviously, everybody got to see UNC play last week. Drake May looked fantastic. The defense for UNC, not so much, giving up 24 points to a team that could barely field a team last week in FAMU. So it's going to be an interesting best-on-best game. UNC's offense versus App State's defense. App State's very run-powered offense versus UNC's still questionable defense. What I'm looking at here is that second matchup, the aforementioned App State offense versus the UNC defense. I think App State's going to be able to get enough stops during the game to keep them in it. And I don't know if UNC is quite up to snuff yet, even with App State. I think UNC is going to win a lot of games this year. I just think this is a bear trap that they're walking into in Boone. I think App State wins this game. Give me App State 33, UNC 30. All right, well, we've had one appetizer. You can't just have one. You got to have something for the whole table. Maybe one side likes the cheese sticks. Maybe the other side likes the potato skins. So our other appetizer, ECU versus NC State. Now, this one, everybody's media darling is NC State right now. Oh, it's so good. Everyone loves Dave Doran. Toby from The Office is doing such a great job with the Wolfpack. They beat Clemson, and now they're world beaters, or at least they presume themselves to be. I've got more on them later on in this season. But make no mistake, ECU is a much improved team than what they were just a couple years ago. Mike Houston has them going, and I think ECU could actually be a dark horse contender in the American Conference this year. We saw last year ECU's got the horses to keep up with South Carolina, and a lot of people could say and make the case that they should have beaten South Carolina last year. Now, NC State's a better team than South Carolina. Devin Leary is a very good quarterback. They have a lot of good wide receivers that are still on that staff. Mecca Measy, and Michael Carter is another one that was very good. They have a very good offense, and I feel like they're going to be someone that's going to be a formidable opponent for anyone in the Power 5, much less the ACC. It's going to be a tough battle in the Death Valley in a couple weeks. But this game is not something to lose sight of. This is a rivalry game. ECU does not like NC State. It's going to be in Greenville, North Carolina. It could be easily for me to see that NC State struggles in this game, at least for the first 3 quarters. Maybe NC State comes out and lays the wood against them, but ECU is going to be ready for this one. The line stands currently NC State minus 11.5. I think this game is going to be slightly closer than that. Not saying it's going to be a one-possession, final second, kind of drive. Maybe it could, but I think NC State's going to pull away from a closer game going forward. I don't think they quite cover that 11.5. I think the final score in this one is going to be NC State 38, ECU 28. So ECU to cover, NC State to win outright is what I'm thinking for that. So we've got past the appetizers, right? Filled up on bread, but hopefully you didn't fill up too much for the entrees because we got a couple of good entrees going right here. And the first one is in the swamp in Florida between the Florida Gators and the Utah Utes. Now, a lot of people kind of view Utah similarly to what NC State is right now. They're the team that's going to break out this year. How many playoff brackets have you seen Utah in? A lot. and deservedly so. Cameron Rising is an outstanding quarterback in the way the Utes finished last year by giving Ohio State literally all they could handle. It took a Herculean effort from Jackson Smith and Jigba for them to win that game. But going into this season, something just feels off about this. You have a first-year coach in Billy Napier who's put together a very good staff. There's a lot of talent still in Florida left over from Dan Mullen. They've brought in some key transfers, especially at running back. They have players like Anthony Richardson, who's returned. He's backed up and potentially in a quarterback competition with Jack Miller from Ohio State. Florida's got a lot of talent that I don't think he's getting a ton of credit. Rightfully so. We haven't seen anything from Billy Napier yet. But talk about an absolute massive win for Florida if they're able to pull this out. I understand Utah gave Ohio State everything they could handle last year, but I feel like this is a trap game for Utah right off the jump. I'm not saying Utah can't make the playoff going forward, but I just feel like this is a bad matchup of unknown versus what Utah has. Utah doesn't know what Florida has, what they're going to put forward. Florida's got a ton of great athletes. The line currently stands Utah -3. I think Florida will win this game outright. So Florida +3. Florida will win this game. It'll be a close one. I think Florida wins this one 24-20, and a huge win for Billy Napier going forward. I don't even think that this may be an indicative to what these teams turn out for the rest of the year. I just think there's going to be a lot of energy in the swamp. Utah's never played in a place like this. I know that they've got really experienced players, but it's just a different animal playing against Florida. So give me the Gators to win outright. The next entree, and it's the biggest game of the weekend. Morgan and I all talked about this last night on the show, and I have to talk about it myself since I wasn't there. Our second entree, Ohio State, Notre Dame. It is the game of the weekend. And I got to be honest, looking at the lines, I'm kind of shocked at the lack of respect that's being given to Notre Dame. And I understand Notre Dame has a lot of question marks on offense, to me at least, where it could rear its ugly head in this game and throughout the rest of the season. But they have a salty defense. They have a motivated coach. And I definitely think that they're going to be in this game. The line set at 17 is way too high. It's way, way too high, even with Ohio State's weapons. Yes, they've got Stroud, Henderson, Jackson Smith, and Jigba. That wide receiving core is unbelievable. But that defense, even though they went and hired Jim Knowles, I don't know. It's a little suspect to me. So I'm going to say that Ohio State wins this game outright. I don't think they cover that 17-point spread. I think Notre Dame's able to hang around for a little bit, but then ultimately just can't keep up. I think Ohio State wins this game 35-21. Everybody's going to be talking about Ohio State's offense. Notre Dame will have some parts of the game where their offense might rear its ugly head. But give me the Buckeyes to win, but not to cover. So we've gone through. We've got our appetizers. We've got our entrees. We're all full, but we still got some room for dessert. Everybody loves a good dessert. So dessert comes from a nice, let's say, beignet from New Orleans. You know what else is in New Orleans? Sunday night matchup between LSU and Florida State. And I got to be honest, I don't know much what's going to happen. I know we got to see an early look at Florida State. I know everybody has been banging the drum that Mike Norvell and this team is going to be much improved from last year. I got to see it to believe it. I know they have two outstanding running backs, and Jordan Travis is a good signal caller. The offensive line still suspect. I don't know if that's going to be something that's vastly improved as people think it's going to be. You want to hang your head on a 47-7 win over Duquesne. I'm just not sure. There's a lot of people picking Florida State to win this game. I just don't see it. It's in Louisiana. It's in New Orleans. You're going to have, I'd argue, 70-30 New Orleans versus Florida State fans there. It is going to be an LSU home game for Brian Kelly's first game. New quarterback situation between Nussmeier and Jaden Daniels. Who's going to win that? I think it's going to be something that's a little closer. The line's currently set at LSU -3. I think LSU is able to cover, but not by much more. It's going to have some ups and downs for each team. I think eventually the biggest weakness in this game will be Florida State's O-line, which will fall off the map as far as late in the game. I think it'll be closer, but I think that LSU will win this game 28-20 is going to be the final score. Florida State will have opportunities in this game. I don't think they're going to be able to capitalize. Give me the Bayou Bengals to win and to cover in this game. But, you need a midnight snack, a last dessert of the evening. And I have to talk about this game because the line is very intriguing. Our last dessert for the evening goes out to Columbia, South Carolina, where everyone's singing Kumbaya. It's happy. We're all happy in Columbia. We're primed for a big season. I can't wait. That's a lot of the talk that you're hearing in Columbia. The line is intriguing, though. It doesn't necessarily, inspire a ton of confidence for people who are putting so much stock in Spencer Rattler to carry everything about that team, including the defense, I guess, into a major comeback season for Shane Beamer in year 2. The interesting stat here is that Georgia State's offense ranked number 8 in the country last year in rushing, and they bring back both their running backs and their quarterback. I obviously think South Carolina is going to win this game. I do. But I also feel like this game is going to be a lot closer than they expect. And that's not necessarily something on South Carolina as much as this. I think Georgia State's a very talented team, and I think could be easily shifted in that number 3 behind Coastal Carolina and App State in the Sun Belt. Georgia State's a good team. I think they're going to make South Carolina sweat a little bit on Saturday night. This game is going to be a lot closer than they expect. I don't expect South Carolina to cover, if I'm being honest. They could look dominant in the process, but I just don't see them covering in this game. I think South Carolina wins the game 34-24. It will be a closer game heading in late in the third or early fourth quarter before South Carolina is able to punch in a late score to take control of that game. But they're going to get a fight this weekend. I think South Carolina wins but doesn't cover, and that'll be some more fodder to talk about going forward from there. But that's it. Hey, that's the set. The table's set for the weekend. Enjoy Labor Day weekend. Enjoy all of football. If you're going to Atlanta, have a great time this weekend. Let's cheer on the Tigers. Go Tigers. Enjoy football, and maybe listen to the radio on 105.5 The Roar on Thursday nights. I might be on there next week and listen to us on the Morgan Thomas Show. We will talk to you soon, and once again, have a happy football field weekend.